During the campaign, we heard President Obama, then Senator Obama, get a powerful endorsement from the American Small Business League. At the time, President Obama said small business is the backbone of the economy, and that it's time to end the diversion of government contracts out of Washington to corporate giants and make sure that they go to small businesses across the country. 2 months ago, the Treasury Secretary, Tim Geithner, reiterated that position. My guest today says the president has not only not lived up to that promise, but Lloyd Chapman, the American Small Business League's president, says the president lied. Lloyd, good morning. Your words, and you're ticked off.
Good morning, Bill.
You gave money to the Obama campaign. At one time, your endorsement was put on his website. I mentioned you're ticked off. Explain yourself.
Well, you know, I have been fighting the government for 7 years to try to stop them from giving government small business contracts to Fortune 500 companies and even some of the biggest companies in Europe. And so when President Obama promised to help us with that issue, we endorsed him. I donated money to his campaign. I used to get up at 4:30 in the morning and do radio shows all across the country campaigning for him. I met him. I talked to him about this. I thought the problem was going to be over. And as soon as he got elected, he actually changed his website to make it look like he'd never made that statement. That
so you say he's not fulfilling his word in the campaign. He's not fulfilling the word that he announced sometime in the last 100 days. Where's the proof that corporate America is getting the stimulus money out of Washington and not small business?
I'm glad you asked that question, Bill. There's been 15 federal investigations that found that Fortune 500 corporations are in fact the recipients of most federal small business contracts. In fact, the SBA Inspector General's office released an investigation a few years ago that referred to it as one of the biggest challenges facing the Small Business Administration and the entire federal government today. So it's a big, big problem.
But if the White House were sitting here today, they'd say you're dead wrong. They'd say we're putting $730 million from stimulus dollars towards small business to lower lending. They'd say we're putting $15 billion from Treasury into loans to help small businesses like yourself. And you respond how?
Well, they're wrong. They're wrong. That money is really not going to small businesses. You can talk to any small business out there in America and ask them. But they're also allowing $400 million each and every day in federal contracts that by law should go to small businesses to go to some of the biggest companies in the world. And there's been 15 investigations. So, you know, you can listen to me, you can listen to the White House. But if you look at the SBA Inspector General, the General Accounting Office, the SBA Office of Advocacy, the Inspector General for the Department of Interior, they all agree with me that Fortune 500 corporations are in fact getting small business contracts.
So then,
Bill, we need to realize that America's in a horrible recession. Small businesses create 98% of all the new jobs, and you can't create jobs like President Obama has promised by diverting money away from the middle-class companies where all the jobs are created.
I've got to run. Who's listening to your argument?
A lot of people in Congress. I've written a piece of legislation called the Small Business Fairness and Transparency in Contracting Act. A lot of people like you in the media. I've had the story in every major newspaper in the country. And hopefully, if people want to know more about it, they can go to info@strongervoice.org, and get involved in it.
Lloyd Chapman, thank you for your time out of San Francisco. We will follow it. It is the backbone of American industry. You made your point. We heard from the White House, too. Lloyd, thanks. Megan?
Well, she took a